Go for it.
So yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to our we are getting closer and closer to 20 community calls. So I think we will need to do something special for the anniversary that we will have. And yeah, today we will have like a really packed call with two product presentations and the discussion dedicated to the layoffs and the AI plays in that process. So please bear in mind that the call will be recorded, and the agenda for today's call is a small intro, AI camp demo, best parts demo, and the discussion that we will have in the second part. So please meet Shreya and Gavin. So Shreya is the co-founder of firecamp.io. She's a co-founder of GSBot and has a computer science background. Gavin is a senior application developer at Aflac and owner slash lead developer at Aizen Software. So that's the company, and he developed new features and fixed bugs in applications for the U.S. Navy. So that's something really cool. And the second part of the call will be dedicated to AI, and if we will try to figure out if it's responsible for tech layoffs in the USA. So yeah, I'm giving the stage to Freya, and yeah, please take it from here. And after that, we would be really eager to hear about the best parts. So yeah, I'm stopping right here. So yeah, Shreya, please share your screen.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure from which part of Earth you are joining. So, hello and namaste. It's night here. It's 10:30 p.m. And thank you so much, Max, for this opportunity. This is very first time that I'm presenting this platform because it's been just a month we have launched and getting a good response. And thank you again for this opportunity. Really appreciate sharing my screen. Let me give you a brief about AI Camp and then I'll walk you through the demo. So AI Camp is a personal chat GPT for teams. It's been like we always wanted to build this tool since chat GPT has been launched, but we were waiting for the market shift. We were not sure. By the way, I and my co-founder Nishit are working on this platform. So he's not joining today. He's busy with other tasks. So we always wanted to build this because of this because there is a personal reason that I like we have built um, while doing research of AI or writing something or creating content with the ChatGPT and using Cloud, it was really tough for me to use multiple platform. And that at the time I got the idea that is there any way to have a centralized place where I can access more than one type of LLM to have the comparison of the response, which is a good risk, which LLM is good for particular use cases. And that's how this problem came into my mind. We talked to a couple of people where we are working, and then identifying that there were one company who were using this type of solution, but for their own organization. They just created a UI and they were able to connect, but it was not the company-wide adoption for them. So they were also looking for solution similar to this is, and this gives me some sort of idea that there is a possibility that we can try to build, and maybe we can see if people wanted to use this or not. And luckily February 3rd, like 3rd of February, we launched AI Camp and we got really good response. So far we have more than 200 users who have signed up, and more than 50 plus users who are using application on a weekly basis. So it's just a month, we are getting good response. And there is a there is a 2 point that we are trying to solve. First is a multi LLM access from a single platform. So challenges are that a complex integration process. So if you are using GPT-4 and if you want to try Mistral or Llama or Gemini or any LLM or maybe your own personal LLM, right? So there is no any way to integrate in your existing system. Second is a scattered landscape of tools. There is no centralized place where you can go and try to access more than one type of LLM. And a third is the inefficiency of tooling between different ecosystems. And so these are some of the three challenges that we are trying to solve. And AI Camp offers a centralized access to top LLMs like GPT-4, Cloud, Bard, and many more, allowing users to bring their own API key. So you have all the freedom. You can bring your own API into the AI Camp, and you can connect your own LLM to the front end of the AI Camp and start talking to the AI. And best part is you can share all the results, all the chats, all the prompts, and anything that you produce from your LLM with your team members. So second point is we are building tools for the teams and business needs. So AI Camps provides a shared workspace which enables multiple users to collaborate in real time, reducing the friction and latency in communication. So just imagine you have some ready-made prompts that you have optimized for some specific result, and now you want to share that with your team. There is no any way that you can share. So what you can do is you can shave into the AI Camp, and you can invite your users or your team members to AI Camp, and then they will have access to all the chats and all the prompts that you have already worked on. Second is we have role-based access. So there will be a role of owners or editors or like the hierarchy wise. So there is a no any way that other people can try to use or anything. So it will be totally a role-based access, and then you will have an analytics that who are using which AI. So it helps businesses and companies to understand the adoption of their team, who are adopting the AI, who are using AI more, and how they can invest more time and resources on the adoption of AI. Because future is in AI, and you have to be prepared. Your company have to be prepared, or your employee have to prepare for the AI, and the businesses have to be prepared for the AI. So yeah, so this is what we are trying to build. We are trying to making an AI more accessible and enhancing for the team productivity. And let me jump to the demo. Share screen. Okay. So my screen is visible?
Yep.
Okay. So once you sign up to the AI Camp, you will landed here. This is the dashboard of AI Camp, or AI Camp Home, you can say. So currently we have 2 points. First is a workspace, and second is a private. So in private, whatever you ask or whatever you chat, it will by default save to the private, and then you can create or you can organize them in a folder. Okay, so here is the model setting. From here you can connect the model. Currently we support OpenAI and Anthropic. We have Gemini and Perplexity, Mistral, Llama into our roadmap. So like we are planning to release each and every week one model, and as well as one feature for the community. So once you connect here is the AI provider, by the way. From here you can connect your provider. Okay, and now if you connect, once you connect your API key, you can ask any question like write a essay for Earth. From here is the all the models that AI can support. So GPT-4 3.5, Cloud. So currently, like last week, we released the Cloud Opus and Cloud Sonnet. So it's a very new model for everyone to use. So currently it's an OpenAI and Anthropic, and yes, this is producing result, and it will by default save here. So if like this is the chat collection, what you can do is you can create a folder. Let's take the example of AI community. Create. Yeah. So it creates the folder, and based on my research, I can save the chats over here. And the beautiful part is I can invite team members. I provide a people. Yeah. So currently, this workspace have two users, like two members, Nishit and Shreya, and I can add more people here. So I can just send an invitation to my team members, and once they join, they will have the access of this workspace. So let's save this chat. To save chat, select folder, AI community, and save. Yeah. So this chat has been saved here. And this is how it is beautiful for team to reduce friction and have a better communication. So once I prepare some sort of chats or prompt collection. So currently we are building prompt collection feature where you can create a collection of prompts. It no matter, it can be a GPT-4, it can be a cloud-based prompt, it can be any prompt, right? And you can create the list of prompt, you can share it with your team, as well as we are planning to create a documentation of prompt. So there will be a button like create a prompt or create a documentation. So if you have a 50 collection, or I mean if you have a 50 prompts, there will be a UI like documentation, and you can create a link and can share with anybody on the internet or privately or publicly, whatever you want. So this is how we are trying to reduce the gap between prompt engineers and the adopters or a consumer who are trying to consume best prompts. So this is the AI camp. Yeah, I'm open for any question.
Oh, that was great. Thank you for
I
showing it. Actually, could you go back to sharing again really quick?
yeah,
So
sure.
at least I don't have to see my own face. Um, so it's interesting. So this is, if I hear you correctly, you're making this so teams can evaluate the responses and the quality of different language models, right? And
Yeah,
do that in one place. You know,
yeah,
it's a smart idea. I could see why, um, especially as you're doing this evaluation, that you want to have the whole team looking at the 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 output. And so I
yes,
appreciate that. Is there? It seems to me that there's a couple things that you could do to even make that better.
okay.
And I don't know if you're open to the ideas, but I will just give them anyway.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Um,
No, I'm open for any feedback or ideas.
no, it's okay. No, what I was thinking is one area that you might have here is a comparison of the uh, of the output for the same prompt from different
Different
different language models, right? And in fact, you could even then automate that a bit and use one of the language models like GPT-4 or Mistral to give you a comparison of the output from all the language models for a given prompt, right? And you could
Okay.
say, well, I have output from GPT-4, I have output from Mistral and from Falcon 7B or whatever you're using. And then you could say, well, now GPT-4, do me a favor and go compare the output and tell me, give some metrics on the how expressive it was or limited it was, concise. You could even allow the user to type in that comparison, right? What do you want to
Yeah,
compare upon, and give you some of the a quick view, because if you're trying to compare, it would sure be nice to be able to see them side by side, for a given prompt. And the other thought was, if you're going to allow different users in here to see the same area, it'd be useful to have commenting, right? So a
Yeah.
user can make notes, like, oh, this one, did a great job, but it didn't cover what I thought it would, and this other one, and to support that kind of threading might be useful too as a collaboration space. But those are just two ideas, but I like the concept. I think it's really useful.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask a question. Is there any better way to address this platform, like, and then a personal chat GPT? Like, we are really struggling to give a proper tagline or a single, line to address this platform.
Oh,
If
are you
you
making
have
this?
just any idea.
No, I get it. Are you making this a paid platform?
Sorry?
Are you designing this to be a paid platform or a commercial, or is this open? Are you doing an open like an open source platform?
This is a paid platform, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I have to think. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry. Please.
I think just names and strap lines and ideas like that sounds like a job for an AI tool, right?
If only there was an AI tool where you could have different models suggest names for the AI tool, and then you could vote on which one would be the best. If only.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, yesterday I've shared a post in the brainstorming channel. So Victoria, who's our community member, she posted on Twitter a comparison between the ChatGPT 4 and the Claude 3 in terms of creation of the React component based on a prompt. So she basically asked two of those LLMs the following thing. I've designed a web page, convert this design into a React component using Tailwind CSS, and she get like two drastically different results from both of those platforms, despite GPT-4 vision is considered pretty cool in like object recognition. So I think what you might do there is also like add some kind of probably labeling. For example, this platform is better for this kind of tasks, or like use this platform if you want to do this thing. I do understand that those platforms are constantly evolving, and in a couple months, for example, OpenAI might be like much better than Anthropic model, but that might be something to look into. So yeah.
Okay.
So one more thing on top of that, Max, if I may, you could actually have a costs saving calculator by using local models as opposed to using API calls. So as a kind of USP, as part of your tooling, you can say, hey, by using llama models, you've saved $60 in prompting this quarter, as an example. So you can actually demonstrate the value you provide.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
The other thing that comes to mind, Shreya, is there what are the other challenges people are trying to solve for in this evaluation, right? So right now you're evaluating across models, and the comment I gave before was, what is as Tim mentioned, really smart idea. What is the cost? You got to get the cost per model based on what you typed in, what your query was, and you can look at it by tokens, right? And what that actually cost. And then you could look at it in terms of, commercial versus non-commercial, language models too. And then I was mentioning about the answers themselves, the quality of the answers. Another thing that comes up, and certainly something I have to test many times, is the consistency of the results. So, we tend to assume that if you ask the same question 5 times, you're going to get the same answer. But we know that's not the case, right?
Yeah.
So you could also capture different ways to compare, not only across the language models, but the same question 5 times, right? And you could then you could use a language model to analyze even those 5 answers and say, yeah, they were generally the same, or they actually varied quite a bit, right? Because it's all about the quality of the of what was done. The other thing, by the way, and this is a big problem with language models in general, is they tend to degrade over time because of things happening in the background that we don't see. You see a lot of posts on Reddit about, hey, GPT-4 isn't producing the same results it did 2 months ago, right? And because there's no versioning of language models, you have no idea, right? So having at least a time and date stamp, a date and time stamp, on when these were produced, you might be able to go back later and rerun the same prompt and see if you're getting the same results. That's a big problem too.
I was just thinking off what you were saying there, Matt, as well. Could you, maybe I missed it, but can you measure time to answer as an example as well?
That's a smart.
So we can see like performance ratings. Obviously, there's going to be local considerations to that, but that would be quite an interesting metric to measure as well.
Yeah. I think Shreya, her video stopped. I don't know if she disconnected, but we'll have it on the recording. And I think that's a great idea. Yeah, that's a really good comment. Is there anybody else? I think Shreya's connection got lost, but we'll have the recording to go back to. Is there anybody else?
There was something else about RAG and having RAG access on models as well. But yeah, hopefully Shreya will watch this video back and she'll hear that question.
That is a difficult one. It does tend to depend on how you prompt it, on the prompting template that you use to do the RAG. So that's a challenge in and of itself. Yeah, that's a good point. Shreya, are you back?
Yes, I'm here. I have really low network, so I have to just switch off my video. I think I have missed the previous point, but I'll watch the recording. I'm really sorry.
That's great. Well, thanks so much. Thanks for the.
Thank you very much, Fox, for your input. Yeah, really appreciate.
Thank you very much for the demo. So yeah, Gavin, please take it from here.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Gavin. I own and operate an SEN software. We do custom web development, but kind of on the side of that side business, I started building a tool called Best Parse. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You can take a look at it. Can everybody see my screen okay?
I do.
Yep.
Okay, great. So, so this is Best Parse. It's at bestparse.com if you want to check it out. Basically, I call this a magic API for data parsing and data extraction. And this was really born out of a need that I had for this type of tool on like multiple different occasions. So one example is I had a client that wanted to kind of scrape business listings from all over the country from different chambers of commerce. And the immediate issue I hit was, although I can write a like a scraper with like Puppeteer or something like that to scrape content, basically anytime we move from one city to another, I would have to rewrite that scraper to be usable on those other from those other chamber websites. And then also, if you've ever written scrapers before, you know that if even a little bit of the website changes, you have to update your scraper. So it was kind of born out of a need for that, as well as another tool that I'm building that scrapes content from emails. And then previously, I had an app in the App Store that would present decks that people built with a trading card game. And so what I needed to do was go find those decks that people had posted online. And I was trying to manually write code to parse that data out. But this tool really would have let me do that in a much more automated, faster, and more reliable way. with not nearly as much manual intervention. So that's really the idea where it came from. I can go ahead and give a little example of how it kind of works and what you can do with it.
Yes, please.
So this is the home page. This is like a quick example, just like kind of hard-coded example of what kind of result you can get. So, so for example, you can send in literally a mess of text in any format with punctuation issues, spacing issues, kind of like you see here. And then once the API once it runs through the API, it can give you JSON in return. And the JSON that it gives you, you can customize what properties it returns, the format of the result string, and things like that. So that's just a quick example that's hard coded, but I recently put in on the dashboard a playground. So this lets you essentially just try it out using your credits, and you can customize the data you want to return, and then you can put in the content that you want to scrape from. And so a quick example that I always like to do is similar to what I mentioned before with the Chambers of Commerce directory listing. So you can literally go to a website like this. So this is the Nashville Chamber of Commerce business directory. And so typically, if you wanted to scrape this data, you would have to write a scraper that visits the site, gets the content, and returns what you need. But what you can do with this is you can literally just do Control A, Control C, and then Control V into the playground here. And you typically do this with code. It's an API, so you would do it with code to actually take the text content from the site and run it through best parse. But in the playground example, like I'll show you just copy and pasting like all this text. And then if I go ahead and hit send, so I already have this configured to get business name, address, the second line of the address. And you can actually configure like with a format you want, like a phone number to come in as an example. But you can read through the documentation if you kind of want to see the details of how it works, and I'll be happy to answer any questions afterwards. So if I go ahead and send this, the way that the API works is as soon as you send the request, the API will return a 200 OK. And in the background, asynchronously, it'll process and parse that data out that you requested. And then once it's done, it'll send the response to a webhook URL that you provide. And that really lets you do it asynchronously, so you don't have to sit there and wait for the response, because it does take some time depending on the data to get the response back. So this is the request that I just sent right here. It took 18 seconds for it to parse and come back. So that's why we do it asynchronously, so you don't have to have your client side tied up or server side tied up waiting for that response. And then if I click these brackets here, it'll actually show me the result that I had gotten back. So from that whole copy and pasted text, I got this clean JSON, and this is what gets sent via the webhook to the webhook that you predefine. And that's pretty much it. Pretty simple tool. Again, I'm using the UI side of it. It's not really designed as a UI tool. I think I can build some tools to layer on top of it to kind of accomplish that, but really it's for developers to use as an API.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I'll take any questions at this point if anybody has any questions.
that's a great idea. And I'm curious, is it validated JSON coming out?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of redundancy checks in place to make sure that the result is actually JSON.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of there's a lot more things that I could do with that. I kind of got like proof of concept going and see if anyone's actually interested in it, and then I have a ton of ideas of things that I'd like to do with it. But yeah, it does validate JSON before it comes out.
Okay, so you're guaranteed that what you pull in is it's gonna you're not gonna, that's always one of the challenges with the language models, right? Is getting ensuring that you're getting validated JSON. So that's great.
Tim, please go ahead. You had a question, I see.
Perfect timing. I've just taken a bite of food. So it was basically a simple question, but could you pre-process the incoming pasted data, even though through an API, and reduce the token cost? Or is there a risk you would lose usable data by kind of processing the incoming text?
So I actually when I originally did this, I started with a model for the pricing where the lower amount of tokens that you passed in resulted in a lower cost for your credit. But I thought it was too complicated and too hard to explain, especially in like a little snippet box on a website landing page. So I decided to simplify it and just keep it one credit as one parse. But yeah, I mean, ideally, like especially with something like website scraping, if you know, like, okay, this is the navigation in the header, I'm going to strip that out. I'm going to strip out the bottom navigation area or the chat window that pops up, whatever. Strip all that out and send me only the basis of what you need. Um, but I think in the future, yeah, you can probably definitely add some kind of
Yeah,
pre.
if I'm honest, Gavin, I wasn't necessarily thinking about passing those cost savings on to the customer. Your cost.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think I could really, because it's designed to handle really any type of data, whether it's a website being scraped or an email. I don't really know if across the board I can say um, what can be safely removed from that initial request. And
Yeah.
really the most of that cost comes from the response back. So from the models. And I think that will change over time too. So yeah, good question though.
Well, and in terms of, is there a market fit? I possibly got a use case for this as stuff that I'm trying to do, which is about, it's more about website analysis, but outputting that in a kind of universal usable format like JSON could well be useful. I'm not quite sure how I want to use it programmatically at the moment, but I can certainly see room to investigate, if that makes sense.
Okay, very good. Yeah, thanks. And also I'll mention right now, if I put a coupon code for anyone that wants to try it for 50% off. It's AIPH. It's 50% off lifetime for the next 2 weeks if anyone wants to actually give it a shot. So it's only like less than $5 for 600 credits. And you can cancel anytime and all that stuff. So if anybody wants to try it, it's there for you. Again,
Yeah.
that's AIPH is the coupon code.
Please drop that into the Slack, preferably the share your thing channel. So I think we've got plenty of people who might be interested in trying that out. So yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and I just shared a link to a Twitter profile by Dmitro. So he built a tool called Screenshot One. So I'm watching closely to his journey for like the last 6 months, I think. So he created a tool for making screenshots of the web pages. And first, he thought that the UI part of that would be popular. So people would decide to check whether their website is displayed properly on different devices. And that was like the whole premise of his application. But the further he got with that product, the more he understood that people would like to use the API in the first place. And he like pivoted a bit into the like API side of things. And right now his tool is like mostly API, and like the majority of the revenue that he gets comes from the API consumers. So that might be the product and like the journey that you'd like to take a look at. So he's getting closely to 5K monthly revenue with his application. And the API thing is like something that has been a breakthrough for his product. So maybe you'd like to check out his journey, or like I don't know, book a call to chat about that, or like something like this, because I think like the premise of the product is like pretty similar. So that's the first point. The second is that how do you make sure that AI produces a valid JSON and the results would be consistent over time? Because from what I know, OpenAI released the JSON output parameter only like a couple months ago during their dev day. So have you checked whether you've got the proper JSON as an output every time, or you've got like some percent of like bad requests that you get from
So
that?
if I every time I've tested it where I've sent the correct request, it's come back with valid JSON. The only time I've gotten an error, which you can actually see on the dashboard there, there's one error, is because I didn't send any content in the body. So I was basically saying extract this data from, and then nothing. And so then I got like an empty response back. But if I structure it properly, and that's kind of what the API's job is to make sure that all that stuff has been provided properly before it actually tries to do the extraction. I've gotten a valid response back every time. So I can't say 100% because I haven't tested it at scale. But I've done probably a couple hundred attempts with it, and I've gotten back very consistent responses. And I think the reason why it comes back very consistent is because, number one, you're asking for something very specific to be pulled out, and also I don't think that the language model tries to hallucinate anything based on like an open-ended question. I'm not really asking an open-ended question of the language model. I'm basically giving it a set of data to work from, and it's extracting information from that. So like if you say, give me the suite number of this business, and the business does not have a suite number, it doesn't just make one up. It'll actually just not return a suite number. And then I have a lot of stuff that goes into the prompt to kind of correct that as well. And then as far as the actual structure of the JSON coming back in proper JSON, I do check that prior to a credit being spent on your from your API key, or the actual result being sent to the webhook. And so as more people use this, hopefully I can monitor that, and if there's any outliers and things like that, I can address them kind of as needed.
Got it. Thanks. So yeah, Tim, please go on.
Sorry, Gavin, just an idea. I don't know if you've got on the website some guidance on how people can use this as an action within GPTs, but I could see that being quite a powerful action to be able to add to custom GPTs.
Yeah, that's a great point. Very good. I wrote that down. I'll definitely look into that. Thanks, Tim.
Anybody else?
Yeah, and from what I see, you need to bring in your API key, right?
Yeah, so when you create an account, you start with a free account. You get, I think, 20 credits to start, and you'll get an API key generated that is at the top there. So you can see mine up there. You can feel free to steal it if you want, but yeah, you'll get your own if you create an account. And
Yeah,
if anybody experiences any issues with any of this, please reach out to me. Again, I haven't scaled this beyond a few people, so I'm sure there'll be bugs along the way.
Yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention that should we erase that API key on the recording, or you will just
No,
disable?
it's totally fine. There's only 8 credits, so I'll be happy if someone uses the 8 credits, and this is kind of the test account anyway. I kind of expected to show all that, so no worries there.
All right.
You know, that might work as a viral marketing tactic, I guess. So you can bite people to use something for free, and at some point they may decide that the product is cool enough to become a paid member, so whatever. So
Yeah, I like it.
yeah. Does anyone have any other questions?
It's a great idea, and best of luck with it. Keep us posted.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
keep
Thank
us.
you.
Okay, I guess that's it. So yeah, we can proceed to the actual discussion. So yeah, Matt, would you like to tell us a couple words about that video on YouTube?
Yeah, do you want to share your screen? Share the it's nothing too much, and I was mentioning to Max the last time when we had our community call, I was seeing that there's a lot of chatter lately about uh, like AI taking jobs, and they're saying that specifically in tech. Are you going to share your screen, Max? I wanted to show
Yeah,
the
like the actual video, or
no, not the video. Look at bring up the slides that you had, the slides there.
yeah. Wow, yeah, I see. 1 second. I was not expecting that something appeared in the presentation. Wow,
No, it's okay.
I've
Yeah,
been
I threw it
away,
in there pretty
honestly.
quickly. But I mean, there's a lot of news and chatter about this, and I was really just curious if people are actually seeing it, because there's one newscast in particular where there were a bunch of talking heads on the news that I think were really excited to be on the news, and wanted to talk about how tech layoffs are making a big deal because of AI, but I don't buy it. Like I'm not entirely sure that's really happening. I think there are possibly some layoffs for other reasons, and I think there are some layoffs because certain jobs that had to deal with unstructured data may have been downsized because you can deal with taking unstructured data now and bringing it in, but you could do that before with applications like robot process automation, right? So maybe it's more accessible now because OpenAI has an API and you can go do that. But I'm just curious of what people are seeing and what you all think, because I think that it's fun to talk about on the news, but I don't actually know if there's proof behind it, especially in tech, like software developers and people that are working on product development. That just doesn't seem realistic that AI is just sweeping house right now. Tim, please.
I suspect it's a very convenient excuse. So a lot of organizations are looking to reduce costs. Sometimes that's to funnel into innovation in AI potentially, but I think if you can blame something for layoffs, then you absolutely will. So my day job is working with senior leadership, senior executives on these difficult and challenging decisions. And if I gave them an out, they would absolutely take it. Oh,
Yeah.
we really don't, we're family. We don't really want to lose our valuable people. You're not family. You're a cost, right? And there is genuinely, there was an over recruitment due to the way that many governments funded people during the pandemic. So we recruited probably more people than we needed. We have got, let's be honest, we've got people of dubious quality in a lot of roles, in a lot of cases. And I think you've got very different employment laws in the US than we have in Europe. So it's a slightly different proposition for leaders to get rid of people, much harder in Europe with our employment law. But giving people an excuse and AI, and it's already a demon in the press. I think it's a convenient excuse rather than a reason. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, I know that we're probably going to have opinions on it, and but I'm also curious if people are saying, "Oh yeah, 3 of my team were laid off, and it was stated because AI is going to replace their job." Like, I'm really curious if that's the case, because it doesn't seem plausible quite yet. Maybe in some years that might happen, or some amount of time. But geez, at this point, it doesn't seem like it would.
None of the tools have really made it mainstream. I mean, even if you look at Microsoft's Copilot suite, right, or GitHub Copilot, those tools are being used, but they're not the disruptive technology that they will be in the future. Yeah, they are augmenting human beings in achieving objectives and goals. Gavin's tool isn't going to sack anyone, right? It's going to help someone who's got a job to do that more efficiently, absolutely. But there isn't a team of people scraping websites and trying to get JSON data out. There's an individual who's got a problem or challenge, and it will help them to streamline their work. In fairness, that person probably would have sat down and written some code like Gavin used to, rather than using something off the shelf. So I just don't think there are tools out there which are taking jobs away yet. I think there will be, but there aren't right now, just from what I see.
Yeah.
Well, I work for, kind of like Max showed in the intro. I don't even know how you got all that information, Max, but I work for Aflac, and so they're a huge, huge company, right? Insanely large. We're not allowed to use any AI. So
bet.
I can't put Copilot on my machine. I can't even visit chatgpt.com or whatever. I'm not even allowed to do it. And I'm sure there'll be an enterprise solution, but not even if there is at some point that they want to use because they're afraid of exposing, private information. Um, Even if there is, it would take a long time for them to adopt that, number one. And then even once you adopt that, I only foresee using it as a tool to do faster development, because we have a huge backlog of stuff that needs to get done. There's teams that are slow, because there's not enough people, and there's so many different things going on. I see it as a tool, and I might be speaking just because I'm a developer and I'm trying to protect my own butt here, but I do think that it would just be used as a tool to help develop rapidly. And then, kind of like you were saying, Tim, if a company needs to make cuts and they do see that this person's job is now being handled by AI, I suppose that would be a reason. But I think that there will always be a reason that people find, right?
Well, let's look at the options, right? If I say I've got to lay people off because I've mismanaged my finances as a business, well, that's not a positive message for my shareholders. Okay, I need to lay people off because I don't have the same level of clients coming in, so my revenues have dropped. I've mismanaged my business again. Well, that's not a positive message. Where's the big bad that I can point at? Oh yeah, AI, big scary monster. Yeah, let's blame that. I genuinely think that's the root cause of this.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you're on the side of the fence where you've been laid off, though, and I'll be clear, I'm looking for work, or I will be in the next couple of weeks, it's bloody horrible. And I've got every sympathy and respect for you, because you're a human being, not a number in a machine. But yeah, I don't think the reasons are AI took your job. Not yet, anyway, because it's just not ready for it yet.
Not
No.
yet, anyway. Exactly.
No.
So we've had this type of issue before the AI has been a thing. So in 2017, I've been working at the company that's been focused on transforming MRI pictures of like a person, a patient, into the 3D model, and then printing joints, printing bones with 3D printers, and then basically augmenting people with those artificial joints, so that if your knee has been hurt, or like if you've got some other health issues, we were able to print an actual bone model that would be like kind of surgically embedded into your body. And we've had a whole like different departments of people who were converting those MRI pictures into those 3D models. So naturally, as a software engineers, we, as a company, tried to automate that process as much as possible, and we used a lot of different algorithms for visual recognition, for like some other things like 3D modeling, etc., to basically take the jobs of our own employees, of the people from those several departments who were doing the job manually. And one of my friends worked at that department, and I've been literally telling her like enormous amount of times, like, hey, I'm literally working right now on automating your job, so probably you would lose your job if you won't get any additional skills. That can be anything, like software testing, software development, but you need to figure something out, because this job would be automated. And like I've been convinced, absolutely convinced, that in a couple of years we would erase those departments entirely from our company structure and substitute them with the software engineers who would work with AI tools that would basically produce those models. But as time flew by, it turned out that she's working there even now, and basically the company simply transitioned those people from jobs that were substituted by software into the jobs that are more like sophisticated, so to say. So basically, none of those people, nobody from those departments was laid off or fired or like anything. They've just changed what they're doing daily because they've started more doing this configuration for those algorithms, etc., etc. So the moral of the story is that I totally agree with the takes that if the basically what Tim said, if the company has to lay off people, it's simply mismanagement and they've made a wrong decision somewhere along the way. Then it is because of the AI that decided, okay, I can do this job right now, and we don't need any human beings over here anymore. So yeah, that was like my personal case that I've been basically a part of, so to say. So yeah.
I think, well, I'm almost debating on having a Reddit post where we just ask, in the software development subreddit or somewhere, like, are people really losing their jobs in tech because of AI? And try to hear anecdotally, because I'd love to send that to the Wall Street Journal, Fortune, all of these BS, places that are talking about this happening and saying, well, look, we're on the front lines and, this is what we see. I don't know where you're getting, I think you're getting, you're putting out stories that you'd like to, that sound great, but perhaps aren't based in truth, which I think the US media sometimes tends to do that.
There are certainly people at risk, right? So if you're an offshore IT service provider and you do simple bug fixes or data sanitization work as an offshore entity, I would be very, very worried, right? Because that is very soon coming down the track. But for US onshore employees, the value is in your knowledge, and the AI doesn't have that. It can help you to achieve your goals. So, but yeah, I definitely support, Matt, the idea of having some sort of poll. Be interesting to see how we could do that and make it kind of statistically valid, because obviously you've got an echo chamber, and also to do it in a respectful way so that people don't feel like, well, it wasn't really AI that got you fired, because they will possibly think it was.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Sterling. I'm just going to introduce myself really briefly. I haven't met anyone. I came in late. I saw it, but Matt, I think what you said, I just want to share a little bit of context and that.
Sure.
I can tell you that, like, with my company and other companies that I'm connected with, friends that are located are in places, hiring is slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
Now they will say, and I will say, like, on my team, I've got job openings, job recs for engineers still on my team, and we're still trying to hire qualified engineers for that. However, we're not opening up new recs because, my engineers have access to Copilot. I'm building my team, two of my teams are building AI products right now that are being connected to our work.
Yeah.
AI has, I do 3 or 4 roles within my company. And so I use AI to offset and enhance my workflows.
Sure.
Whereas I need help, I still need to hire. I would love to hire 2 assistants. Now I'm only maybe hiring 1. Again, anecdotal, right? It's not that a job was ever there, but jobs are being offset because, or jobs are not being added. Job creation is not happening because now AI is, especially in the developer world. Like, my whole company, we went all in working with Microsoft. We're a close partner with them, and holy cow! Like, you look at you throw that, and then you take our repo, you put it into Google Gemini, and you put it into the Gemini 1.5, whatever, and you just say, what is, find me the bugs, and it's like spits it out. Like, I don't need to send that offshore. We don't need to hire new junior developers to do that. Now it's I recently had a post that I posted. AI has lowered the bar, but in many ways it has raised the ceiling. And I'm very 100%, I will die on that hill now. AI has lowered the bar for entry of engineers, but it has only raised our ceiling of what we're capable of doing.
I see what you mean.
Sterling, you were saying there about the entry level roles, but that's the journey that we have to go on. There's a funnel of getting entry level to senior engineer, and if we stop putting people in the top of the funnel, you will dry out. It'd be great you at 75 years old being a senior engineer and the only person who knows, Python, JavaScript, or whatever, or a code base, but there's nobody filling your shoes unless AI keeps up, right, and becomes that.
Well, and you're not wrong. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who are saying, well, don't get a CS degree. I read that, or I saw that quote or that thing from what's his name from NVIDIA.
Jensen Huang from
Yeah.
NVIDIA. Yeah.
And I agree with him in some cases, but I have a big caveat there, which is I have 2 children. They are using the internet. Like, they've been using the internet since they were born, and and I'm introducing them to AI. Just like when I was when I was a kid in the 90s and I stopped going to the library, I didn't need to know the Dewey Decimal System. This dates me a little bit. Younger kids were like, I don't know what the hell that is anymore. But like, I remember doing my research for that, and now I had Google at my fingertips. It's not saying that. And so when I hear people say that, I think the big caveat there is I'm still teaching my kids how to write code. I'm still teaching them how to do these things. However, if they want to go build an app, I think the tooling will be available within the next 10 years that we can say, go build me an app that does XYZ, connects to these APIs. And I say this coming from the company I work for, which is an API first company, knowing what we're building, what's coming down the line. I'm like, you have to want to be able to go into software engineering, and again, that barrier of entry is going to be lower, but the ceiling is going to be higher. I'm not saying we're not hiring junior engineers. It's just that, no, you're right though, Tim. I mean, if companies aren't hiring junior engineers, we are, but I know other companies aren't, and that's a potential problem for the industry.
But yeah, I think that the way to look at this is that it's just another orchestration layer in the software development stack. Now, I'm not a software dev, but we are not writing machine code, and we haven't been writing machine code for decades. If you think things dated you, I'm ancient, but we've built layer after layer to make it much, much easier for human beings to talk to machines, and this is just another iteration on that. But it doesn't mean that there aren't people who are experts in machine code, right? We still need those expertise at the interfaces between layers. And as much as the layperson may write code in human language, and it will call on APIs and do all these funky things, there's still something going on behind the curtain, right? In that Wizard of Oz style, right? And we will need those skills. So I do think there is a requirement to continue that investment. And even if you don't go into software development, the skills you learn in thinking through problem solving through software development are critical to the future of any kind of industry. Critical thinking is a poorly understood skill set, and it's not well taught. So I think software does that.
Here. That's the truth. And that's what, when I went to school up in New York, and my professor taught us, he said, what do you learn when you get a BS degree? And right, I was in computer engineering. So what do you learn when you get a BS degree? And of course, everybody's saying, well, you get to learn electronics and computers. And he was an older gentleman, clearly been around the block a number of times. And he said, no, what you learn how to learn. You learn how to think up to a certain level. You prove that you learn that you know how to think. And I always remembered that, because the things that I have learned from my BS and then my master's, but also on the job, you realize that it's not that you're in that funnel where you only can work over here. No, you can work in other areas. You can figure out that, oh, you know what? There's a lot of analogies. There's a lot of ways things work, and you learn how to think and understand and draw upon your experience to pick up topics, pick up modalities, whatever it is, more quickly, and then think through them and problem solve, even if you haven't had experience in that area before. And I think that's the truth, and I certainly hope that people still go into engineering, you know, and we'll see. I'll tell you this though, language models can't program in Commodore 64 BASIC, so whatever happens, I'm going to be set. If there's any you know, dams or U.S. Navy ships that are running on Commodore 64 BASIC, I will be able to help get them out of trouble.
Yeah, probably got the ZX Spectrum covered, Matt.
Oh, there we go. There we go. If there's go-to statements involved, I can help you out. I don't think those language models can take that away from me.
Yeah, like during the COVID, I don't remember what the actual language was, but like if I recall correctly, the pension fund in the US been hiring people that are like proficient in some extremely rare but super old programming language. And
COBOL is one of them.
yeah, that was the COBOL. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like super cool to see that the salaries were like skyrocketing, but like the actual number of people who were able to write something, like it's been like, I guess, dozen across the country.
It follows the same trend as buying like a car, right? Like when you're in the 80s, like the brand new car costs a lot. And then eventually it becomes out of style and it costs nothing. Eventually it becomes vintage. And then all of a sudden the price goes up again. And you're gonna somebody wants to get that car. Somebody wants COBOL.
I just need to pray that someone needs to program a VCR or use a rotary dial telephone. I'm sorted. I'm rich for life.
You're good to go. You're gonna buy the domain blinking12.com and then and just a contact form. That should do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're all wrapped up for today. I think we're a little bit over on time, but this was great. It was good to see you all. Good to meet you, Sterling and Gavin and Shreya and Tim. Good to see you again. And we'll do this again in a couple of weeks, I think. Is that right? Am I forgetting anything, Max?
Nope. So yeah, by the way, Alan, hello. Nice to see you.
Send me an invite for this. I just noticed it. I'm horrible with back-to-back meetings on everything, but I'll join as much as I can because
That's cool.
I love being a part of the AI community. So
that's great. Well, we're glad to have you. Well, you all have a good rest of your afternoon, evening, morning. Shreya, good night. I think it might be tomorrow already for you. I'm not sure. But you all have a good rest of the day and weekend, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.